You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts, Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing all right. Kind of surviving from a dud of a week 17 as far as fantasy performances went, outside of a handful of players.
Right.
A lot of big name guys who missed the memo that, hey, we need you for championship weeks. So it was tough. Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Bucky Irving, James Cook, like all these guys kind of underperformed. So Derrick Henry, great game, right? And you were happy to have Derrick Henry and him kind of show out against the Packers there. So that kind of puts you in the right mindset. Christian McCaffrey did his things on Sunday Night Football. Even DeAndre Swift with his 2 touchdowns kind of got you there. And then Bijan came out Monday night and said, "Here, guys, hold my beer." And Bijan looked great. So that was good. But then on the wide receiver standpoint, tons of duds. A ton of duds for wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Puka did his deal, right? Puka did what he kind of needed to. But outside of that, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith, who had been pretty stable, kind of crapped the bed. No DK Metcalf because he was suspended. Justin Jefferson, another dud performance to end the fantasy season. Thank God I'm done dealing with that this year. Jalen Waddle was non-existent really for Quinn Ewers. And it just it was
any
JSN
of the Chiefs
was okay. Yeah, the Chiefs receivers were that. Like JSN was okay, but not great. Right? Like he was not out. Yeah, he wasn't like otherworldly like he had been. And then it was just, passed around. A lot of second and third tier wide receivers got it done because some quarterbacks did have big days. Dak had a really good day, large part because of the 87-yard touchdown. But Joe Burrow was solid. Brock Purdy was awesome. Drake May was awesome. Matt Stafford kind of pooed the bed there on Monday Night Football, right? So that wasn't great. Josh Allen got there in the end, but it wasn't like he didn't go Superman status for fantasy. He went Superman status for the Bills to come back and at least attempt to win that game against the Eagles. But so point-wise, he got there. But on the flip side, Jalen Hurts, not a very good day at all.
Jared Goff, horrific.
Yeah, like Brosman, like again, terrible. So I mean, kind of a mixed bag. So congratulations to those who survived and who got those championships. Well earned. Good job. If you're fighting for a championship this week, for future reference, I would strongly suggest that you appeal to your league commissioner that, hey, can we move this up to week 17 here? We really don't need to be messing with this, as we're already starting to see guys who are sitting or kind of reduction roles and everything else here, even with plenty of games determining playoff seeding. You're still having players kind of take a back seat here. So it's just kind of one of those things. But if you're fighting for it, we're here to help and let us know.
I will sing until I cannot sing until my voice is hoarse and gone, to not do a final week championship, because we used to do it in this home league. And I lobbied hard against it after I got, go ahead, Derek, with the name.
Are you talking about Matt Flynn?
Yes, I got Matt Flynn. This was probably 15 years ago now. I got Matt Flynn, where he went crazy, had a 4 touchdown performance in the final week of the season because Rodgers was sitting, Brett Favre was sitting. It was for the Packers. I can't remember who was sitting, but it was a meaningless game, so they didn't need their their star quarterback to play. It was Rodgers,
I'm
right?
sure it was Rodgers. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got Matt Flynn, and I needed to lobby against doing a final week.
Yeah, Malik Willis tried his best Matt Flynn impersonation in a Packers uniform this week. Kevin with the hero call on the Friday show. If people listen to that one, kudos, because that one should have come up big for some folks on the fantasy.
Yeah, if you were struggling, right? If you were needing a stream quarterback, he definitely got the job done. Obviously, the Packers did not come out with the win, but Malik Willis showed up big time with the 2 rushing touchdowns, the passing touchdown. So, I mean, it was what you need out of a streamer, and he definitely answered the call there. So, if you were in that position, hopefully that information helped. And if not, then no big deal. I hope you didn't go up against him, because that would have been a little frustrating.
Right. Drake May with the otherworldly performance as well.
I know.
Drake May was crazy.
That I haven't been with you guys much of this season. Had a baby. So I know I haven't been with you. But man, the quarterback injuries this year were hard to overcome. And they seem to happen at like very inopportune times. I don't think there's ever a great time to lose your starting quarterback, but to be like, I think of like Daniel Jones, right? Where it happens in the back half of the season. Patrick Mahomes, you lose him in the first round of the playoffs, right? If you're, in fantasy. And then
like
just
I think I ran 8 or 9 different quarterbacks out there in a super flex because whatever waiver wire hero I had to go with.
Yeah, the guy played in the championship in this league, in the home league, had to play Blake Corum in his super flex because his quarterback situation was so terrible. And like, he had JJ McCarthy and he had handcuffs. It's just, they were so bad. Brosmer was bad. Oladukin was bad. He had Daniel Jones, who was on the IR. Like, he ended up trotting out Phillip Rivers, who, up until a month ago was just like you, me, and Kevin, Derek, just sitting on the couch watching football.
Yeah, and but he lit it up in week 16 for Phillip Rivers.
He did. But like, he had to go with a guy who was watching football 4 weeks ago, just like all of us.
He was coaching, to be fair. Like,
right, like
sure, but
he was coaching his high school team. Like, here's my thing about Phillip Rivers is how bad of a quarterback problem was this rookie class overall, right? These young quarterbacks. I'm going to say, your Bryce Youngs, even, right? Your second and third round picks, to where Phillip Rivers being retired for 5 years can come in and be more serviceable than anything that the Minnesota Vikings put out this entire season. Entire season. Joe Flacco, who has been playing, but still wily veteran, everything, wildly more efficient than what the Jets, the Vikings,
what the Browns,
the Dolphins, the Browns, like these. There is a big disparity, and coming into the season, it didn't look like it on paper.
Right.
Coming into the season, it looked like we had a pretty solid baseline of starters at the quarterback position. And holy cow, it turned into the haves and the have-nots really quickly. Really, really quickly. And to pull guys who are,
the dude was
3
eligible
years
for
old.
the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Like, it's just
I
nuts.
genuinely think we were maybe a week away, and I guarantee you he got a phone call from Tom Brady coming out of the booth. Like, I guarantee you he got at least one phone call of somebody kicking the tires and be like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the only reason that Brady didn't come back out for the Colts was because he couldn't, because of his ownership with the Raiders.
Exactly.
But I guarantee you the Colts called, like,
Yep.
hey, what, like, or at least looked into it. Like, what
Can
can we
it?
do
Yeah.
here? Anything else? And they couldn't, right? With his ownership stake in the Raiders, he could not play for another NFL franchise. Like I think that was his way of being done. Like on top of the fact that he wanted to own, like, but you never had to worry about Tom Brady coming back because with his ownership stake, he couldn't. For the same reason that there's certain interviews, right, that they would or wouldn't let Brady have and access to teams because of his ownership stake and what he could take back and everything else. Like it was just nuts. Remind me for those historians, was it 2 or 3 years ago where we had massive quarterback injuries, much like this year?
I want to say it was like 21.
No, I don't think it was that far ago.
You don't think so?
I don't think that was that far ago. I think it was 23 is what I think it was, where we had something like 68 quarterbacks take a snap, like a meaningful snap.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that? Like it was.
I do.
22, you had 70. And this is one of those I have to actually filter it down, but there's 79 quarterbacks that took a snap in the NFL
this year,
2022.
22, okay.
23, there was like 75. But what I'm looking at here, just not kind of pulling loose data here. It's anybody took a snap, even if it was they went in to kneel down or something like that.
I think that's what I'd like to know, right? Like more than 10 snaps, because you're not getting more than 10 kneel downs. But you think about, I mean,
it might be 23 because that was the year that the Vikings went through Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, Kirk Cousins.
And I think
that would have been the same year that Kyler went down with the partway through.
And the Panthers had their quarterback issues too, right? They went through Zach Wilson, Andy Dalton, and the kid from was the kid from Ole Miss? Who's the other guy?
Wasn't there another Josh Allen or an Allen something that was playing for them? I thought it was a Josh Allen.
Yeah, the Jets started like 4 different they always start 4 different quarterbacks. The Jets are a bad thing.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, it was nuts. It just and it's bound to happen, right? I mean, we know injuries are a thing. There were definitely parts in this year, I'd tell you, it felt like they were bigger names or more fantasy relevant names this year. CD Lamb, and his deal, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams missed some time, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Drake London. Like you're hard pressed to find anybody in the top 30 who didn't miss time this year, which is crazy. It just seems bigger than, and the one guy, right? Derek and I were talking about this. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago, D? The one guy who we thought was going to miss time this year, like you can put a watch by it. The one guy who's going to miss time this year is Christian McCaffrey, and he's the one. He's the one cat who didn't. Like he could have 500 touches this year.
Although
500 touches.
I think he's shut down for the final week here. I think he's listed on the injury. He's on the injury report.
No way. Not with the number 1 seed on the line.
Nope.
Because you could have the bye after that.
He is on the injury report. I did find the answer to your query, Kevin. It was the 2022 season. They started. There was 66 different starting quarterbacks, which broke the record. Yeah. I mean, we're talking names that you don't want to hear.
Absolutely.
But the two that set the record were Nathan Peterman and Sam Howell.
Yeah.
When they made their respective starts in the final week of the season.
And Sam Howell went on to start some games the next year.
Yep.
It just Drew Lock, right? He was starting games, and it just.
You're talking about Colt McCoy, Trace McSorley. Is it Tyler Blau? David Blau. Blau?
Yeah,
yes, Blau.
Blau, yeah.
Yeah, for the Lions, right? He started games for the Lions.
That was the season that Stafford got hurt, so they needed to start John Wolford, Bryce Perkins, and Baker Mayfield.
That's right. That was the overnight game where he learned the playbook on the plane from Carolina to
got released on Tuesday and played on Thursday.
That's right. Yeah. That was crazy. Yeah. I mean, look, maybe it's obviously it's revisionist history, and it's stuff that nobody wants to look at, right? When we're ranking these guys, and you can't predict injuries. You don't know when this is going to go down, but it does absolutely speak to needing depth, right? Like Derek went through a litany of quarterbacks. Depth didn't even help him, right? Derek went through a litany of quarterbacks on my roster. I needed some depth. I had Bucky Irving go down, and he was never the same. I had Terry McLaurin go down. He was never the same, and a non-existent Justin Jefferson, right? Like I needed depth to survive that. Hell, even your team, Alex, right? You won the league, and you still had Malik Neighbors go down.
Yeah, my first pick was down.
Yeah, and then who else did you have go down?
My tight end. It was
that's right, Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft.
You were missing a top 3 tight end and arguably a top 5 wide receiver, but probably a top 10 wide receiver, especially once Dart got into the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, and you were still missing. So you needed the depth pieces too. Like it speaks to you can't check out after the first 4 or 5 rounds, right? Whether your draft is 16 rounds or 20 rounds, or if you're in dynasty startups, 26, 28 rounds on some of those super stupid deep benches. Like you have to stay engaged because these guys do get an opportunity at some point, right? They may not make much of their opportunity, but they will at least get one because the NFL, the not for long thing is true, right? These injuries, players do not stay healthy the entire season. They're going to miss some time.
My first 3 picks, which again, we have keepers, right? And I've got draft penalties and everything. But my first 3 picks were Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, who ended up not being horrible. He was actually fairly great the whole year. And then my 3rd round pick was Jackson Smith and Jigba. And that pick, honestly, JSN season is what propelled me to a championship. Like, honestly, he was so steady.
Yeah. And he was a guy that I was adamantly out on. I did not think with how the Seahawks were set up that they would have found a way to get JSN to superstar status. And they did. And
I mean, Sam Darnold is able to, I think we can agree now that he is able to support a superstar wide receiver. Like he's able, like Justin Jefferson was great last year with Sam Darnold. He was awful this year. I mean, to the point where I benched him the final week of the season. I had other options better than Justin Jefferson. I didn't think I'd be able to say that throughout Justin Jefferson's career. I thought he was borderline quarterback proof, and it turns out he's not. So I think that JSN was that was clutch. Caleb Johnson was my 5th round pick. I don't even know where he is right now. Somebody else's roster. He's not on mine. I traded away my keeper pick in the 6th. I traded away my 9th round keeper. All but one of my keepers I traded away this year.
Yeah. And rightfully so. The move proved fruitful.
But let's talk. But my 10th round pick was Tucker Kraft, that's huge. A 10th round pick for a guy who was a top 3 tight end. Unfortunately got hurt. 11th round pick of Matt Stafford, who was playing borderline MVP. He's probably giving it away, right?
The last couple of weeks he probably gave it away a bit, but
and then Luther Burden, who I don't think I put in my lineup once until this week. And he had a great week for me.
Yeah, that's probably the one call I missed on Friday. Because I vehemently said, like, I did not want to trust my fantasy championship game to Luther Burden, who has all the talent in the world, but we really just haven't seen it fully come together. And I don't remember what the options were, Derek, but I do remember. So, like, don't start Burden. Like, that was the one I did miss on Friday.
Well, and I'll tell you what he benefited from. I think was DJ Moore was battling an illness, right? So
Zacchaeus and Moore were ill.
Yeah, they weren't 100%.
Did you see the Fro Odunze was rocking on the sideline? Like, how could you not? They showed him like 7 different times on the telecast. But dude had like an old school, like 80s Fro, like, and he picked it out, and it looked pretty cool. Like, I was like, holy crap. But yeah, it was like out there. I was like, dude, nice. That's good for you, man. Like, that's crazy. I can't do that. Like, but still, rock it, dude.
So I went back through and looked at that, right? Just touching on that quarterback and the injury side of things. I ended up starting 11 different quarterbacks in our league through the Superflex. And that doesn't even account for like the 4 weeks out of the season that I elected not to even try and run a quarterback in there, because there weren't any on the waiver wire. There weren't anything like that. So I was rolling wide receivers and running backs in the Superflex position for like 4 of the weeks. So I went through and looked it up. 11 different starting quarterbacks for my fantasy roster in the home league, and I think I had another 6 quarterbacks that were on my roster at one point that ended up not playing or seeing my starting lineup. So, yeah, to say the quarterbacks were the bane of my existence this year is a very big understatement.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but any news notes that we want to hit up, and then Alex as well, right? Christian McCaffrey did miss the walkthrough today.
He's got the designation on him. That's all. His status.
I ain't worried about it Tuesday.
Yep.
I'll worry about it on Thursday. Like, that'll be the big one.
Yeah, and that's one of those that they'll manage the workload. But I have a hard time believing he doesn't play in a Week 18 game that allows them to potentially get a bye for the first round.
So, yeah, I would agree. We'll see what reports we actually get, if it's anything that we need to be worried about. But news and notes. I mean, it's going to be fluid throughout the week here, guys. Right? Like, we know already that Justin Herbert's not going to play Sunday against the Denver Broncos. So that's a very interesting move. And I think it was because of how the seeding truly worked out. And the Chargers knew that, they could win the division, but it doesn't, like, I haven't played with the playoff scripts to see what it would have done, but I think what they're trying to do is stay away from Houston.
Could be. Yeah.
Good plan.
I think they're trying to stay away from Houston a little bit. Now, kudos to the Broncos if they're able to pull this off and get the first round bye. I did not see this coming. So I think they're a year ahead of schedule. We'll see how it goes, because this team's going to go as far as their defense takes them. They're still wildly frustrating offensively most of the time. So if the defense is, balling out and they're putting out 5 or 6 big sacks a game and Surtan's shutting down one side of the field, then yeah, they stand a chance. But I don't know. Like there's definitely there's a piece of me who there's certain teams in the AFC. Like I'm glad the Pats are on the other side. Like Denver doesn't have to face the Patriots just yet because that's not traditionally a good matchup. Same thing. We'll see how the Ravens game plays. Like I really want the Steelers to win this game for the Broncos because the Ravens are a team that Denver traditionally has issues with.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see Baltimore in the playoffs this particular season, but that's the hometown fan in me. Right. But yeah, so it's like I said, very fluid for this last week. The good thing is, right, like if you can do your homework and you understand where the cash incentives for these players are and who has what to play for this week, it makes for great prop bets. And it makes it a really enjoyable week if you like to, do some things on the side, because if you can find what they're going for, like Kendrick Bourne for the Niners, they're talking about it on the telecast Sunday night. Kendrick Bourne needs like 60 yards or something against the Seahawks for an extra 250,000. Not a massive amount, but it's something to be mindful of nonetheless. Obviously, Myles Garrett gets a big time. I think he gets a big time bonus if he breaks the sack record. So that'll be something to kind of keep an eye out for. And then a lot of it's with receivers, right? Catches. Like what can you determine?
Right.
So it's a way to make this week fun. There's no fantasy, but you can still have fun around this football game, right? Around this sport of football here this week. If you don't have fantasy championships, prop bets galore.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's an interesting one, right? Because he needs he's got like a $2 million bonus on the line if he can increase his passer rating by 0.82 on that one, 3 passing TDs and 150 passing yards. Like there's a lot there on that one. So that could be fun too. And also, right, like prop bets, but also coming in through and setting some DFS lineups around that could be it's usually a lot of fun there as well. Right. And you can come up with some very interesting lineups that tend to do well. So worth taking a look into for sure there on that one. Any other news notes that we want to hit up here before we hit the chat up?
There's a couple quarterback things going on. I'm seeing here the Colts. Obviously, we talked about Herbo not playing for the Chargers, so there's Trey Lance sighting. And the Colts look like they're going to start Riley Leonard over Phillip Rivers here for the last week of the season.
Eliminated.
Again, that goes back to kind of what we were talking about, right? Like, how bad was that class? That's where the Colts needed to turn. Nothing against Riley Leonard. I'm sure it's fine, but like, man, good God.
Yeah. Well, and I know Richardson, they were trying to see if Richardson could get back right after.
Yeah. He still has the IR designation.
Yeah, but he never came off of. So
the practice window just opened up, I thought.
Oh, it did.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like
I think it opened last week.
Here. Yeah, but it's one of those that at that point I don't know. Right, they're eliminated from playoffs. Who knows if they try and bring him back, or at this point just see what you got and get Riley Leonard and let him put something on tape.
Well, and maybe they're saving themselves because if you don't have Richardson put on tape, like he's a year removed, he's more like you might get more trade value for him by not putting Anthony Richardson out there and then trying to flip him for a 5th round pick, like anything at this point. Right. So, but yeah, so very fluid with news and notes, especially on Tuesday. It's gonna be super tight until you'll start to hear some things tomorrow. Thursday you'll hear a bit more, and then Friday obviously is the big one for the games that aren't on Saturday. So teams are going to start keeping it a little closer to the vest here.
Right.
vague designations, much like hockey.
Right. Lower body.
Right. Yeah, they have to disclose slightly more than that, but not much more.
Right. So, any other news notes you want to hit up here, Alex, before we start diving into the chat?
No, and I do have to say though, I'm so thrilled of how the NFL does their scheduling, that like the games that matter are getting the spotlight, right? So like Panthers Buccaneers on Saturday, that game matters, right? For that division title. Seahawks 49ers getting a 7:00 doubleheader there. That game obviously matters for the number 1 seed, but then there's also some of these other games that matter, that are all being kind of played at the same time. And it makes it kind of fun. And then the Ravens Steelers, like what a fun way to end the regular season, with that game, a playoff spot on the line between those two franchises. Like that game,
I would have rather seen Seahawks Niners Sunday night.
Yep, probably, but take the under. Take the under on Ravens Steelers.
Watch, this is the game that they get drunk and just
that's probably
it's a 40-40 game. So.
I mean, nothing would surprise me, but a 6-3 game, I feel like, is way more likely.
Terrible.
Maybe. All righty. We got Jason chiming in here saying, let's go, boys. One first place and 2 second place prizes. What a year. So nice work. Jason also asking, so how is the first 12 guys going in order round 1 next year?
Oh, that's too early for me.
I think, honestly, I think that a lot of it is going to be fairly similar. Like, I'm not willing to say 1 through 12 just yet, but you're going to have your usual cast, right? It's going to be, your receivers are going to be Jamar Chase. You'll see Puka Nacua up there. You'll see
Amon-Ra,
CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra.
Probably JSN slides into that range.
I would say JSN
slide in there, and maybe Malik Neighbors, right? You'll get the buzz of Neighbors coming back, depending on the reports on how his injury progresses. I mean, so that's 5 or 6 receivers there in the first round. Right. Running backs, you'll see CMC. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. I think will scoot in there.
Devon Achane may sneak into that range as well, depending upon what happens. So I mean, there's another 4 or 5. So we're at least 9 to 10, kind of in that range here on that.
Yeah. So I mean, and then we'll see kind of how the back end shakes out, right? Like, right. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be back up there. Saquon probably gets to the back end of round 1 based off a name value, although I don't know that it's warranted.
Right. AJ Brown's a guy that kind of always seems to sneak up in the back end of that. Again, I don't know if that'll happen this year at the
How far does Justin Jefferson fall? Right. Like out of the first round or the back end of the first round, right? Like,
I think
I don't see him sliding past. James Cook's another one. You can see James Cook absolutely get up in the first round. I think you're right there, Alex. So, I mean,
Collins could be another guy that sneaks up in there too, right? So, I mean, those are 14, 15 guys that are likely your first round picks.
No.
So not too terrible. I think you see Trey McBride go in the second round next year. So,
he takes over the Travis Kelce role, right? Like,
essentially, right? You could even see Trey McBride go the back end of the first round, right? Like, if you're trying to get that positional really different and you have the wheel, like, you could see McBride slide up to 11, maybe 12, something like that. For again, big year. And depending on what they do at the quarterback position, if Kyler's not coming back to Arizona, well, let's see if we're going to lean into him again. So I think you could see McBride sneak up in there as something different. By
the way, I absolutely love the fact that we had a guy pounding the table saying that Trey McBride was going to definitely lead all Cardinals for pass catchers, and like, we had a few guys look pretty smart at that point on this one, on that Trey McBride call.
Yes, we did. That was definitely one of the things that we absolutely nailed this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's not in order, right, Jason? So I know it was a little bit tongue in cheek, but I think you can pretty much list out, those 15 guys or so, and some are definitely going to go in the front end, and then some probably fall in the middle. It's the back end that'll get jostled around a little bit, and we'll see how things shake out with free agency, coaching hires, obviously the draft and what that does to certain players, but
Right.
lot to be determined just yet. But mostly it's going to be a mix of those players in some way, form, or fashion.
Right. Jamie chiming in saying, Rip Randall, Memphis Young of the Dynasty Warzone. Our condolences out to his family. Jamie also chiming in saying that they won 11 out of 13 or 33 championships, plus won 772 on underdog. Nice work there.
Oh, boy, good year.
Fun,
good
Jimmy.
year.
Yep. Frosty saying, "Let's go, boys! I won my league thanks to your astronomical help." Frosty, pleasure seeing you in the chat all year long. We'll keep the train rolling going over the off season. Lots of stuff
Absolutely.
to cover, and as we start getting geared up for that. So, friendly reminder: we do the show year round, Tuesdays 11 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you click that subscribe button, hit that bell, get those notifications for when we go live. Off season, we'll get into a lot of fun here over the next month or two here. Then we'll start looking towards the NFL draft. Then we'll start really gearing up here and diving into those player projections for 2026. So
I will tell you, there's going to be a lot of hockey talk in the off season this year. Just be prepared for that.
Okay. So long as there's not
That means you
talk.
have to make the show.
I know. If I'm on the show, there's going to be some hockey talk.
So we'll see that here, a couple of times over the next few months?
One or two, probably. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Frosty saying, "Bless Luther Burden." So
yeah.
Yep.
Luther came up clutch for me too.
Yep. William over on YouTube saying, "Won my home league. Thanks for the help." Absolutely.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Good job, William.
Great job. Frosty saying, "Are you taking Neighbors over Jefferson next year?"
Probably. I mean, as it stands right now.
I don't know. I'm leery of a guy coming off of an ACL that first year back. I won him the second year after the injury.
Sure.
First year.
Totally understand that. There is not a quarterback throwing the football in Minnesota.
There's an entire offseason to happen.
I know. If it's right now, I'm taking Neighbors over Justin Jefferson next year.
You're taking
see the two of them going back to back.
Yeah.
But again, we really haven't heard how the recovery is going. So,
true.
I mean, did you see the IHOP commercial?
Yeah, I did see the IHOP commercial. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good.
So, but yeah, I mean, if the recovery goes well, I think I see them going back to back. And depending on where I'm drafting next year, there's a good chance I take a bit of both of them.
Right.
Like the talent is undeniable.
True.
One's coming back from an injury, but I really like what I think him and Jackson Dart will be able to do. I think that'll be a pretty fun trio between Scatabo, Malik Neighbors, and Jackson Dart. So we'll see how that plays out. And then Jefferson, yeah, we got to see how this offseason goes in Minnesota. Right. Whether it's coaching changes, quarterback changes, like it's going to be hard for Minnesota to draft another one. Like there's really not a quarterback in this class that I think Minnesota needs to go after. So, I mean, I still stand they screwed the pooch. Like they should have traded McCarthy away before the 25 draft and kept Sam Darnold. And you guys heard me say this time and time again. That was their best strategy, and I felt like they let it walk out the door because they were trying to prove something. And because of that, now they're sitting at home instead of, being in the playoffs after winning 12, 13, 14 games each of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah. So
they've done well at chasing good quarterbacks out of town.
Well, the other thing too, right? Like you mentioned Jackson Dart. It'll be interesting to see what the Giants do, right? Because the Raiders and the Giants are locked in here, and we'll see who actually gets the number 1 seed here when it's all said and done after this weekend. But
It'll be the Raiders.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But if for some reason the Giants win, Giants lose, Raiders win, the Giants pick number 1, do they take the presumptive number 1 Mendoza next offseason? It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
No, but they'll get a nice haul from somebody who wants him.
Potentially.
Maybe.
No coaching regime coming in. I don't remember. Did the GM also get shown the door in with the Giants as well?
Well, recall.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said one way or the other with confidence.
Let's see. So it looks like Joe Schoen is currently the GM and is still there. So if he's there, who knows, right? That may do. But if they also replace the GM in the offseason, new GM, new coach, they may move on with a guy that the new coach and GM bring in go with. So you may not like the guy throwing the ball in Minnesota, but that's probably more locked in than what we've got in New York at this point. So anyway, just a different thought process there. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nah, not yet.
All right. Frosty saying rank these 3 for next year. Chase Brown.
Frosty looking ahead already.
Yeah, Frosty is getting deep into this one already. I like it. Rank these 3 for next year. Chase Brown, James Cook, Saquon Barkley.
I'm going James Cook.
Yeah, and here's what's
then
interesting about
Saquon, then Chase Brown.
Cosign.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. And James Cook remember James Cook was only valuable because he found the end zone 1,000 times last year. And then they were like, hey, he can actually run the ball for yardage this year. And like touchdowns were never going to be what he hit, the previous season. But like,
I don't know, 12 was still a big number.
Yes, but wasn't it?
He had like 17 or 18.
I was like, wasn't he flirting with 20 last year? And so like, I don't know, like, is that sustainable for a third year? I'd like to think that I think a third year is sustainable for James Cook.
My worry, James Cook, I think so. The way that they have no receivers. So I think his yardage continues to be there. Yes, 17 is going to be a big number to hit, but anything for a running back, like if you're consistently getting 12 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, like you can bake that in. And again, it's still going to be worth the first round capital. He might be going 9-10.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's going to be better than, a Josh Jacobs. I think it's a bit more consistent than what you're going to see out of a Chase Brown. Saquon has tons of talent, but we need to see what the Eagles are doing with their offensive line and how they're able to run this back. I think they're going to be looking for another coordinator again. I think that they're going to change that over for the 6th straight year. Is that right? 5th straight year, something like that. But every single year, Jalen Hurts is dealing with a new coordinator, but they got to figure out how to have some rhythm and cohesion offensively, because right now what they got ain't it.
That streak goes back to when he was at Alabama, right?
Dang near, right?
I think he's had a different coordinator every year for the last 10 years.
So it's crazy. But yeah, I'd go James Cook first. Then I'd go Saquon and then Chase Brown.
Yeah. By the way, James Cook currently the rushing leader for the NFL this year, right? So if he can outrun, yardage Jonathan Taylor this week, you'll be looking at him collecting the rushing title this year. William, over on YouTube saying, I won the championship. Thanks for your help. $700 in the pocket. So,
Boy, good job.
Cash and trophies. That's what it's about.
Cash.
Nice work.
Cash and trophies.
Frosty saying there's going to be a lot of good value picks next year. There always is.
There are, if they bounce back. Like there's certain guys that I think people are going to salivate over that I'm not convinced they're going to be having the same type of year.
Right.
We'll see how, again, there's a lot of time between now and then, and there will be some value picks, but definitely going to wait and see here for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. William saying, is Drake May an S tier quarterback now? That's an interesting one.
This year, I mean, is Drake May the MVP?
I think so.
Conversation, yeah.
I think so. I have a hard time handing the MVP to anybody on a team that had the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah,
personally. Sure. Now, has he had a great year? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do I want to see it done again next year when they have a first place schedule instead of a fourth place schedule? Yeah, I sure do. Or a third place schedule. Like I sure do. I like Drake May. I just do. I said coming out that I like Drake May the most in that draft class. I made no bones about it, and I got a lot of cross-eyed looks and people who were disagreeing with me left and right. But I said I like Drake May the most. And if someone wants to call me a liar, go back and watch our tapes because I promise you it's in there. I think I don't know if he's S tier. Like, I just don't think I'm ready to put him. Like, I think he's right below that. I think it's still Josh Allen. I think that Patrick Mahomes might have put himself back in that class because, again, he was QB2 for fantasy before he went down. Like, we need to remember that. He had been having a couple of years where he was 8, 10, 12, like floating in that back end of 1, and we kept pushing him up front. He was QB2. So for all intents and purposes, Mahomes elevated his game back to where we were drafting him in years past. So if it's Allen and if it's maybe Mahomes, but again, coming back from injury late in the season, we don't know how that's going to look. I think everybody else is kind of a step behind. Like, it's not Jalen Hurts. The tush push isn't the same. His passing efficiency went down this year. Like,
completion percent.
He's had like 4 different halves this year where he hasn't been able to muster more than like 20 yards and a half. Like, it's absolutely insane. So, I mean, Allen might be in a tier all to himself, and then you have a big group of 2 behind him. Like, that's kind of how I'm thinking next year goes. It's Josh Allen, and then it's Burrow, Lamar, Hurts, and May. Like, you have a group of, and Mahomes. You have a group of 5 right behind Josh Allen. And that's the second tier, but that's where the big group is. And then right behind that, you have Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix.
Yeah, I was going to say Bo Nix has to be.
And you can scoff. I mean, people can scoff at the Bo Nix thing by watching the games, but the numbers are there. Again, fantasy's the numbers. Take the names and everything else, but he finds a way to put points up.
Yeah,
and because he uses his legs, that helps, right? Like, it's just that extra little bit, and then you get past those 3, and then you're with your Jordan, Caleb Williams
would probably be in that. I'd put him in about the same tier as. I'd put him right about that same tier.
I'd have him the one right below it. I think I'd have him and Jared Goff and Jordan Love.
So I'd rather have. I think I'd rather take the Caleb over those 2, is why I kind of bump him into the next one.
Did you where are you putting, let's go like
like Trevor Lawrence, and
stacked.
Herbert and Lawrence could probably be up in that same thing. Like they're a bit above Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I missed those guys. Like I'd take those guys above Jordan Love.
And if we wanted to put like another
same thing
another
with
kind
Jackson
of tier,
Dart, like I think maybe there is. I think there's another tier there because Jackson Dart, you could argue with the full complement of weapons. His never say die attitude is very much like Bo Nix. Like you could see him kind of get up there for a full season with a healthy set of weapons and everything else. So the quarterback's going to be, it'll be an interesting one to truly get through because there's some situations that I do really like. And then there's some guys who have fallen off. And a guy that I haven't listed is Jaden Daniels. I have no idea where I'm going to put Jaden Daniels.
I don't know either.
Was the rookie year the truth? Or was this year when he was playing the truth? Like, can he just not stay healthy? He's just too slight of frame.
Well, not only was it hurt all year, right? Like when he was in there, we weren't seeing near the rushing yardage that was coming through, right? Like rookie year, it was very consistent, 50 yards on the ground with the legs, and even though the arm may have not have gotten you there, and the passing work may have not quite gotten you there, the legs certainly did. So, I don't know. So it's kind of like Lamar Jackson, right? Like where the threat of the run is there, just doesn't do it anymore. So, where does that put that, right? And there's two big question marks I have with those guys going into next year.
Yeah, I think I think quarterback is it's so fluid, and as we saw this year, like quarterback, we saw a lot of them. We saw a lot of quarterbacks this year, just because injuries were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get lucky with. I mean, let's be honest. I took Matthew Stafford this year thinking, he's got the back thing. I don't know that he's going to be really worthwhile. I just need quarterback help. He ended up throwing 42 touchdowns this year. Like,
I mean, I took Michael Penix thinking that I might need to play this one for a potential bye week for something like that. Nope, I think he played the most games of any of the quarterbacks that I drafted this season. But yeah, 11 different quarterbacks that graced my starting lineup for fantasy between our Superflex and the home league, and another like 8 that didn't. Like, yeah, no, quarterback is the bane of my existence in 2025 season. Good news is it's about over. So, but yeah, any other thoughts? Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say before we move on to anything else, I'm gonna have to call it a night for me, fellas. Appreciate you letting me come on, and I didn't gloat too hard, but thanks.
I had the dump button ready when you started, just in case you were curious.
No, it was a really fun season. I got so lucky. I got very lucky with the points against, which will go down, I think, in infamy as one of the luckiest seasons we've ever had. But yeah, I am proud to be your champion. And I will not be it next year because I traded away the farm this year chasing this one. So it will be a rebuild year next year for sure. We will hopefully see you guys next week. We'll see. Bye, fellas.
All right.
We'll catch you later.
All right. And Frosty saying Drake May also had one of the easiest strengths of schedule of all time. LOL. It was easy for sure. William, how about Dart compared to Nix?
I think the two of them are
pretty
going to be kind of mirror images of each other. I think the perk of Jackson Dart is he's younger. So in a dynasty format, I think I'd lean Dart. Because he is a bit younger and you can kind of carry through it. In a redraft next year, I think I'd lean Nix only because Nix doesn't have complement of weapons around him that's hurt and trying to come back. Dart is going to be, we got to see how Scadabo's coming back. We got to see how Malik Neighbors is returning. You got to see what the Giants do in the draft. Like, I think an interesting thing for them to do, right? Like, maybe not with the second overall pick. I say second because that's where they're sitting right now, but maybe not with the second overall pick. But if they went like Caleb Downs, just for a name, if they went Caleb Downs for defensive player at the second overall pick, and then the second pick in the second round, then they back it up with, a another wide receiver to kind of truly pair up, and that way you could go Wandell, Malik Neighbors, and player X. Like, I think that could be kind of interesting for them, but they have their own holes, right? They got fantasy wise, that'd be great, but they got to shore up the offensive line a little bit. They need some more help at receiver. Their outside linebackers need to improve. I said Caleb Downs. They could use some help on the back end for sure. Caleb Downs can help with that big time. So we'll kind of see how that comes out. But sorry, I'm getting off topic. But Dart and Nix, I think, are going to be basically the kind of different sides of the same coin. Is kind of how I perceive both of those guys.
Yeah, I could see that, right? Like,
I like his moxie, right?
right.
Like, I love the way Dart plays. Like, I love his moxie. I love the fact that he just thoroughly enjoys the game of football, and he really likes the guys that he's playing with. I think he's an easy guy for that team to kind of rally behind, and I think you need that type of personality. You either need to have that type of personality in New York, where you're almost bigger than the city, or you need to be Eli Manning. Right. And where you just don't make any waves whatsoever. Like, I don't think New York handles anything in between. Like, you need to be steady as she goes, or you need to treat it like you're a freaking rock star. And right now, Jackson Dart's treating it like he's a rock star, and I think it's working for him.
Absolutely. And then Frosty asking, could we see Brian Thomas Jr. being moved to a team like Buffalo?
No. It's an interesting thing. I was listening to radio show. I was listening to a radio show on Sirius XM earlier today, and they were talking about this very topic. And they had a good point. He's on his rookie deal, right? Like, I mean, he's coming in year 3 of his rookie deal. It's kind of where does everybody fit in? Because now you have Jacoby Myers, you have Travis Hunter, which could go defensive, right? Like, if they feel like they don't need him. Parker Washington's still under contract, and Brian Thomas Jr. is still under contract. So you have a really good complement of weapons. Travis Hunter, while injured, is the guy who's you could kind of, again, continue to flip him both ways. Like, do you feel like you don't need him on offense as much? Right? Does Liam Cohen go, okay, like, now that we've seen this, but we brought in Myers, Parker Washington's shown really well, Brian Thomas, like, do we have our main 3? And now we're going to shore up our back end, right? We're going to shore up our defensive side. So Travis Hunter, you're going to flip, and you're going to do 80% defense and only 20% offense. And kind of see how that goes. So I wouldn't move him. Personally, I don't think the Jags will. I think Liam Cohen wants his weapons. He built a war chest of weapons in Tampa Bay. That's part of what made Baker Mayfield so successful. And I think they're going to try and do the same things in Tampa. So I would say no, he does not get moved.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Right, and we've seen this a few different times through Jacoby's kind of different stays, right? Like, we've got 3 different teams worth of data to kind of look at and all of that. Jacoby Myers plays incredibly well when he's playing out of the Z or the Y type of deal, right? But as an X, it's a mixed bag, right? Like, that's not necessarily where he flourishes. Whereas Brian Thomas Jr. tends to play really well on the outside. So I think that they'll kind of keep things as is, right? They'll split Jacoby out there more on the Z or a Y type of deal, and they'll continue to have Brian Thomas Jr. be the outside guy in the X in that one, and I don't really see that changing much here.
Yeah, and again, he had the wrist injury to begin the season.
Right.
I think part of that wrist injury, I don't know how similar it was to Tyreek's from last year, but we do see like it does create strength issues, right? And he dropped some passes that maybe he didn't drop his rookie year and everything else. But I think Brian Thomas Jr.'s a strong candidate for a fantasy bounce back, if you will, and have some of that positive regression, catches some of the balls that he let go, falls in the end zone a couple more times. Like I think he's a guy who's going to take a big hit on the draft board, and you possibly, right? It's still early to tell, but you could possibly see quite a bit of success if you snag him as like your third wide receiver and being able to stick him in as a flex play.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Much different outlook, right? As opposed to drafting him at the back end of the first, front half of the second round, and he needs to be your 1 or 2. If he's your flex play, you perceive the value a hell of a lot differently.
It's a whole different level of expectation out there, right? And so that's one of those two that's right. And we've seen this a couple of different ways, right? Where guys come into the league, kind of set the world on fire, and then have some regression towards the back end of their rookie season or into the sophomore year, right? Some of that has to do with the fact that now teams have tape on you. Now teams are preparing for you. They know what that looks like. To couple that with that wrist injury, right? Like how much of that is a factor? I would agree with you. I think there's probably a fair bit that is a pretty big factor on this one. So I think we'll probably see a bounce back for him next year. What that ultimately looks like remains to be seen, but I think that is one of those that will have a completely different set of expectations for him that he'll likely outperform next year when we get down into the nitty gritty on this one. So, but yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think that Jacksonville's looking to send him anywhere. Unless it's for an absolute haul coming back. So any other thoughts on that one?
No.
All right. Awesome. Jordan, Saints up, good old boys. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year.
It is that Tuesday show that we are rock and rolling through. So, I think we've kind of come down to the end of it here. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Congratulations to those of you who won. Congratulations to those of you who finished the season. Like, it sounds silly, but we've all played in leagues or currently play in leagues where, teams completely tune out and, as early as week 7 or 8 sometimes. And it really just kind of throws a disadvantage. So, whether you made or missed the playoffs, made or missed your fantasy finals or whatever that looks like, if you put forth the effort and the grind and fulfilled your commitment to the league, congratulations, thank you. And we'll keep grinding away, right? There's things that we didn't get right this year that we will work on making sure we get right next year. So we're always improving, right? You're always trying to find a way to get better. We have a good baseline, good groundwork to kind of go off of over the last 5 seasons here, and looking forward to the next one where we can continue to climb to the mountaintop here, because ultimately it's cash and trophies. That's why we like playing. We like the bragging rights. We like to be able to hold it over our friends' heads, much like Alex can hold it over ours right now, right? It sucks. I don't like it. to put it mildly, I don't like it. But nevertheless, right now he has the bragging rights for the next 365 days. So I got to find a way to suck it up and deal with it. And part of how I'm going to deal with it is get back to the grinding stone, make sure that I put him into the dirt next year and I don't have to hear it anymore.
Absolutely. Right. And that's one of the things that we'll be going through here this off season as well. Right. And we'll be continuing those Tuesday shows and kind of showcasing and walking people through that process as well. So make sure that you're staying tuned in, you're staying locked in here over the off season, and it will it'll be a lot of fun, right? We'll start playing some of the games and can you guess the player type of thing. And yeah, it's always a good time. But absolutely, again, congratulations to the champions out there and those that collected their cash and trophies. Great work. And thanks to everybody that tuned in, chimed in tonight. Always fun interacting and chatting with you. But I do believe that that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Alex was on here earlier. We'll be back again next Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.